It's time for Bringing the Heat with Bryan Nolen.
What is going on? Bring the Heat with Bryan Nolen, back at it again. Big thanks to my man, Mr. Trailoff, for co-hosting last weekend while I was taking a vacation. But we're back at it again, recapping the Memorial Day Lame-tacular. Not the best racing on Memorial Day, but hey, sometimes you're just going to get that. And unfortunately, we did. On this week's edition of the program, Brenden, gotcha, Trey. Butterbean Queen is going to be on the program, be talking with Mr. Chase Folsom about a plethora of topics. And then we're going to be diving on into the latest news, the news and notes, soundbite of the week, and much, much more. So without further ado, let's dive on in to that interview with the Brenden Queen.
Now it's time for
Butterbean Queen. You come home fourth. You were just getting the standing ovation from the crowd in the background. What was this experience like?
Man, it's what I've worked for my whole life and never knew if I'd get this opportunity.
To go into the Inferno with Bryan.
Here with Brenden, Butterbean Queen at North Wilkesboro Speedway ahead of his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut. Brenden, first question I got to ask you, where in the world did the nickname Butterbean come from?
Yeah, the Butterbean nickname was when I was a baby. I looked like the boxer Butterbean, and that's kind of how that came about, and ended up on the race car, and the rest was history, really, after that. All my friends knew me as it, my teachers, and everybody was calling me by it.
Everybody knows you've come up through the grassroots ranks, but I want to ask you, what was your first race car, and what age did you first get into racing?
Yeah, I started racing when I was 6 in a go-kart, and then I just kind of worked my way up the ladder, go-kart, legend car, late model. That was kind of the way it was back then, and like I said, I started when I was 6 racing karts.
You've been known for being really successful on the high tire wear, abrasive racetracks. What about those racetracks do you love so much that suits your driving style?
I just think the discipline of it, having to slow down to go fast, the strategy of riding and patience, and, racing your own race, not racing somebody else. I think that's why we've been so good at those races, is we just kind of stick to our plan and we trust the process.
Another thing that you're very notable for is that colorful paint scheme you have on your late model stock car. How did that paint scheme come about? Because I know that's something you carried over from your family team to your time with Lee Pulliam.
The scheme was really cool. I had a video game sponsor when that originated, and we decided to keep the scheme because it was so popular. The green and the green and the pink was kind of a scheme from another sponsor, and we kind of kept the colors, went to this scheme, and then the video game numbers just became so unique that we just kind of kept it along, and I'll probably always use it on the late model.
I mentioned Lee Pulliam. Obviously, you've been driving for him for the past 2 years now in the late model stock car. He's one of the best ever to drive a late model stock car. So what have you been able to learn from him, and how has it made you a better race car driver?
Lee is the best I've ever seen in my time, and learning from him has been incredible. Getting to work with him, one of the smartest people I've ever worked with. So it's really cool just to have somebody like him in your corner and able to lean on him, and any info he gives is special.
I want to ask you about this track specifically because you ran really well here in your family car in 2022. You won here last year in the late model stock car. You called it the biggest win of your career. Now you'll make your first NASCAR national start here. What does North Wilkesboro mean to you personally?
I've been telling everybody it's just special. That win was really big, and who knows if I get this opportunity if that win doesn't happen. So it's really cool to be able to come back here and make my debut at this track. This track was already special to me, and now there's something else to add to it to make it even more special.
So you get in the truck yesterday for practice, and you go out and go P1, and your first practice ever in a truck. What was that feeling like when you got out and saw your name at the top of the board?
I couldn't believe it, really. I knew the truck was going to be fast. I knew I just needed to work on myself and, try to learn as quick as I could and as fast as I could with not getting a lot of practice, and to try to make the most of it. And it was definitely an awesome day for everybody involved on this #1 Toyota Tundra. Everybody at Best Repair Company, LeafCars.com, TRD, Toyota, Tricon Garage, just everybody that believed in me to give me the opportunity.
So now that you have had some laps in the truck, what carries over from the late model stock car? How are they similar and how are they different?
Very different. The track's the same, but the cars don't really drive the same. The truck's heavier. The line is close, but I think just a racecraft is going to carry over of how to put together a whole race. You know, it's a long race. You just got to stay out of trouble and survive, and you'll have a good finish.
Obviously, the goal is always to win the race, but this being your first NASCAR National start, what is your overall goal coming out of today, and what would you call a successful day?
Yeah, I think success would be complete all the laps first. You know, we want to win. That's always the goal. But if I can complete all the laps and bring the truck home in one piece, that's going to be a win already. And then also being able to just, you know, if I could get a top 10, I'd feel like that'd be a win.
Now, obviously, you haven't even run the race yet, so it's a little early, but has there been any talks of maybe more races this year or any races next year even?
Yeah, we're always exploring that opportunity and trying to get more starts. And I'm just hoping, you know, I could go do my job today and perform, and, you know, somebody will hop on and try to help me get some more opportunities here.
Last question. We know where to find you if you happen to win today because you'll be at Waffle House. So for those that don't know, how did that tradition start and why has it become so popular for you?
Yeah, we started doing that back when we were racing dirt cars a long time ago. We always went when we'd win, and, you know, it just kind of got publicized a little bit more when I won Wilkesboro. And, you know, we love going to the Waffle House after a win and cranking the jukebox and drinking some chocolate milk and eating some waffles.
Once again, big thanks to my man, Mr. Chase Folsom, for letting us play that interview that he conducted a couple weeks ago at one of the Cars tours, our yearly, annually, notably, whatever you want to call him. He is the man. Goes to about 95% of the Cars tours for Front Stretch. He is the man, the up-and-comer stud for FrontStretch.com, along with last week's star guest and Anthony Damcott. Without further ado, let's dive on into what is still hot.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
What is still hot? And this man needs no introduction. Unfortunately, we lost a legend in Bill Walton. He was high on life, probably among other multivitamins, is what Pat McAfee says. But this guy, he is my Bill Walton. He's always happy, always energetic, loves life, loves the trees, loves the energy among the stars and planets and all the celestials. Mr. Michael James Massie Jr. III. How are you doing, my friend? And hopefully you're all dry from the crazy weather you saw in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. It rained all day. It stopped raining just enough time to get a race in. And as soon as it's over, the floodgates open. And we were soaking wet, me and Alex Gentz. But, man, the Indy 500, what a cool event. That you called it a lame weekend. I get from the NASCAR side it was, but Indy was awesome.
I will say that it was kind of a lame sandwich. It's like when you have you got a terrible piece of bread and then the ham is absolutely chefs from France, and then your dessert is cold. The ham was absolutely incredible, and God bless the ham from Indianapolis. But speaking of the ham from Indianapolis, we've said it in nauseum, but I'm going to say it again. Kyle Larson, 18th in the Indianapolis 500. Looks like he was probably going to get a top 10. Unfortunately, sped on pit road. I want to talk about the NASCAR side of you because I feel like we're creating something out of nothing, Massie, but we're still on the topic of should they give a waiver to Kyle Larson. Why is this still a topic? Why is this still a news story? Because Chase Elliott broke his tibia or leg or fibula or whatever and got a waiver. For the love of God, Matt Kenseth didn't start the first 4 races of the season and got a waiver. So why is this a story?
Chase Elliott also got suspended last year, and still the waiver was good. So that's just ridiculous to me. I think Larson deserves one way more than many of the other people that have gotten waivers over the years. I think it's just a lot of people in the NASCAR side are a little sensitive about the fact that he chose Indy over NASCAR, and they're just lashing out because they're hurt. And what do you say, Brian? Hurt people. So
Amen,
Amen,
brother.
but he's got to get a waiver. If they don't, and yeah, I was talking to Jerry Jordan kicking the tires at Indy, and he made a great point that if NASCAR's kind of in a no-win situation, if they give him the waiver, they look like they're just favoring Hendrick again. If they don't give him the waiver, they look like the evil empire. But I think the better way to go is to give him the waiver, because otherwise you lose one of the stars. All of this, he did some excellent marketing for NASCAR this weekend. Yeah, he got his name worldwide. People, now they're going to tune in to NASCAR to see what this Kyle Larson guy's up to. And if he doesn't have a waiver, can't compete for a championship, then that's all for naught. Like, it was a complete wasted effort if that's the case. So give him a waiver already.
I mean, honestly, there could become a point if he doesn't get a waiver, he just says, okay, screw you guys, I'm going to go dirt racing the rest of the year. I mean, like what does he have to accomplish besides winning a title? I mean, select races, okay, sure, but like if you'd be like, no, I don't want to run Daytona or Talladega, I'm going to go do a local dirt track in Iowa or Indiana. I mean, he has all the power right now, and NASCAR's, like you said, in a no-win situation. Also in a no-win situation is kind of the fans of Stewart-Haas Racing. See how I tied that all together? One for Mr. Nolen. So, suck on that, Trey. Stewart-Haas Racing announces that all 4 of their cars and as well as the entire program is going to be shutting down. I think what doesn't get looked at hard enough is, besides the 4 drivers out of a job, there's over 300 race team members out of a job. If we thought silly season was crazy in the past, it's going to be crazy now. But I do feel for all the guys, not just weekly travels week in and week out, but also guys that are in the fabrication shop, guys that are in the shop just in general. Over 300 people are losing their jobs, man. It sucks.
Yeah, we talked about this on the Happy Hour podcast last night, which you can listen to on this feed. But it felt to me when I heard that news, it felt like somebody died. Like it felt like a funeral yesterday, and it's sad to lose a race team, but then you're sad for all those people that they don't know what they're going to do next. There's that uncertainty for their future. So, we'll get into all the fun, silly season speculation and charters and all that in the coming weeks. But now I think it's just time to focus on, kind of reflect on what Stewart-Haas Racing was able to accomplish in its 15 years or so of existence. And then wish the best for those that are out of jobs going forward. The good thing is we're only a third of the way into the season. So they gave them about 2/3 of a year heads up to go look for another job. So I remember like the Furniture Row closing was a lot later in the year, so maybe it was a little tougher for those guys to land on their feet. But yeah, it's a great heads. I'm glad they gave them this much of a heads up.
Matt, let's dive on into our soundbite of the week, where Mr. Cole Custer is not too happy with Mr. Austin Hill.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm going to bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track racing.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
See happen there. Looks like you and Austin were kind of battling.
Yeah, I mean, he put me in the fence off 4, and then we hit on the front stretch because I was going to pinch him down, and he decided to try and go up and side draft me, and then we hit again. And then I don't know if he blew a tire into 1 or what happened into 1, but then he tried to kill me on the backstretch and just held it full throttle until he wrecked our car and killed the rear cliff. Slapped my head against the back of the headrest, and I don't know. It was, I know it was hard racing, but at the end of the day, I don't like getting intentionally wrecked and killing the front and rear clip on our race car. So it's just ridiculous. So just if you want to drive like.
Once again, that was Mr. Cole Custer. It was announced on Wednesday morning that Austin Hill was fined at $25,000 and 25 driver's points. We've seen people get suspended for this. I mean, that would have been a little bit more crazy if he did Massie, but like I do feel like the fine was a little bit less than what it should be, because I mean, what's different with happening with this than Kyle Busch slamming Ron Hornaday into the wall at turn 4 in Texas a few years ago?
Yeah, that's a great point, and I would compare it too to Denny Hamlin last year got fined 25 points, but I think what Denny did wasn't near as bad as what Austin Hill did. So I think it should have been a stiffer penalty than what Denny got. And I don't think it was as bad as maybe say Chase Elliott on wrecking Denny last year. Like I don't know. Maybe you suspend Hill a race, maybe not, but he definitely needed a stiffer penalty. It's funny too that it's 2 weeks in a row. I feel like Richard Childress Racing kind of gets away with one, because Kyle Busch intentionally wrecked Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and he didn't get any kind of. I mean, I get you don't give him a points penalty because it was a non-points race, but did he get any kind of fine for doing that? I don't believe he did. So yeah, it's maybe need to stiffen up the penalties on old RCR a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like didn't Noah Gragson get fined like $30,000 for intentionally wrecking? I think it was Sage Karam at Road America. I mean, I feel like that would have been better fine wise, but I mean, like he just right hooked him into the wall. Intrigued to see what happens with both of them on the road course and the Pacific Northwest in Portland if things escalate there. Let's dive on into some final thoughts and wrap it up, Massie.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Final thoughts are in the air. Whatever you want to rant, rave, or anything in between. Michael Massie, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I already ranted a little bit about the Larson waiver thing, so I'll do a different topic from that. Communication, NASCAR. Look at what Indianapolis Motor Speedway, did on Sunday morning. How they had a press conference at 6 a.m. They had another one a little bit later. They kept giving us updates. They told us, hey, at 11:15, we're going to make a decision one way or the other. They saw that how the weather looked at 11:15. They said, fans, get out of here. They gave plenty of heads up, like an hour. That's like an hour and a half heads up for the fans that we're not starting right now. And it just felt like it was such better communication than what NASCAR did later that night, where they're drying the track and everybody feels like they're about to go racing again, and then all of a sudden they just pull the plug on it. Like, nah, we're done. There was no communication. There was no explanation. It was just, we're done. And I'm not saying that they should have gone back racing. Like, if the track was still wet, the track was still wet. Or I don't know all the info with that, but I just think that they could have communicated better. We should have had updates as it went along there at the track, had press conferences like Indy did. So NASCAR, look to the way the Indy 500 handled it and try to learn. That's all. That's what we do in life, right? We learn from others' experience, apply it to ourselves, grow as a person. NASCAR, it's your turn to grow as a person.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that, and I feel like it was just such a awful look for NASCAR, because you have Kyle Larson trying to attempt the double, and you bring him in the rain to fall, and so you're drying the track, and then it looks like the track's about to be dry, and you called it. Like, you wasted the fans' time, you wasted your own money, you wasted the driver's time. Everybody was gearing ready. I mean, Joe Gibbs was expecting to be called to have his drivers be called to their car in 15 minutes. I mean, it was so disappointing to see that happening. Sure, was it maybe some executives in some Fox Towers, like I was talking about on Stock Car Scoop on Sunday? Could be possibly, but I mean, it felt like it was just an escape route for everybody to leave, and it shouldn't be like that. Will it be like that next year when Amazon Prime takes over the Coke 600? Possibly not, and I really hope that's the difference, because there's 150 laps to go, and we should have gotten some more racing. So it is definitely disappointing, and it capped off a little bit of a not memorable Coca-Cola 600. What is memorable, though, is Michael Massie's appearance on all the podcasts. Massie, you recorded Happy Hour yesterday, or I should say on Tuesday. You have Fire on Fridays, which newsflash is on Friday. What are you going to be cooking up on frontstretch.com, my friend?
Yeah, so the Friday thing, I'm going to write about the communication that we just talked about, just kind of break that down some more. So give that a read on frontstretch.com, Fire on Fridays, column name again. And then this weekend, I'll be stepping in for our boy Chase Folsom, and I'll be doing some Cars Tour racing at Langley Speedway in Hampton, Virginia. So I'll be there Saturday night. You can look for all the coverage from there on our Front Stretch Grassroots YouTube page. We've got a Grassroots YouTube page now, so check that out. Like, subscribe, all that jazz.
Once again, at M_Massey22 at the Bryan Nolen. Next week, we're going to be recapping Portland, Gateway, as well as previewing Sonoma, and then the farewell swan song to Fox Sports, their Xfinity coverage, as well as their portion of the NASCAR Cup Series. Big thanks to Trey Lau for just trying to control me in any way that he can. Really can't, but he tries to just salvage me. Big thanks to him, though, for producing this. Once again, the Front Stretch Podcast Network is coming up on Friday. Tino with the Through the Gears podcast, all the latest best bets. And then Sunday, you got Stock Car Scoop with Happy Hour on Tuesdays, and then yours truly with the Pit Straight on Monday. For Michael Massie, I'm Bryan Nolen. Talk to you later. See ya.
What's up? Michael Massie here, frontstretch.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.